it was actually in incredible condition. Let's see, it was an Oklahoma salvage title for theft. Looks like we had a couple different. Oh, it sold 2 years ago. Now that I didn't know. Okay, this is news to me, guys. So, recovered theft, that means this car was salvaged before? Okay, here is a perfect example of why AutoAuctions.io is so valuable of a tool, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so 5 days ago it sold for 44.50, but 2 years ago it sold for 1900. Do you want to see why? Let's find out. So, guys, uh, wow. Oh my. I let's get bigger pictures here, huh? Oh my goodness. I had no idea this car was like wow. Wow. Okay. Yeah, you tell me. Let me ask you an honest question here. If you were about to buy this car, all right, would you want to know that at some point in its history it looked like this? Because I'm telling you what, man, you come over here and you look at it and you're like, wow, 4,000 bucks for a nice car that was only salvaged because it was a theft recovery. It was stolen. No fault of the owners, it was just stolen. And then you look at these. This is one with the help of AutoAuctions.io. No, thank you. I have no interest in that car, none whatsoever. Now, again, we can scroll down, take a look at comparable vehicles, and 2015 fit for 3,000, 3,000, 2150, $800. Wow, that's actually really cheap. So it looks like the average price is 2241. So I would say 4450 plus the fact that the whole front end got ripped off of it a couple years ago. Nah, skip this one. Next, we have a 2003 Ford Ranger that definitely had some front end damage and it didn't start. I don't know if the video of this particular truck is out yet, but I do remember that I tried also to start it. I couldn't get it to start. I tried to pop the hood. I couldn't get the hood to pop either, but it was actually in really good condition, aside from the obvious front end damage. 67,000 miles, that is assuming the odometer didn't break. A lot of these older Fords had problems with the odometer worm gear breaking, and it would just stop counting mileage. This could be a 67,000 mile truck though, and it sold for $1,850. 3-liter V6, automatic, two-wheel drive, really nothing special. But if you could get that front end straightened out, and I'm sure getting it to start wouldn't be a big deal. I really don't think there was anything seriously wrong with this truck, other than maybe a little bit of a tweak to the frame. You can see right here how the fender comes out from the hood. So I'm pretty certain there's going to be a tad bit of tweaking to the frame rails down here, but I don't think it's much. I really don't think it's much. I think you could probably straighten these out, put a bumper on it, straighten up that fender, get another one, a grill. You may need a hood, and this thing would be ready to go. Good truck, in my opinion. Let's scroll down and see comparable ones. 2550, 1200. Wow, that one's real bad. 600, 575. Yeah, I think for 1850, this truck, assuming you could get it running, would have been a decent deal. Next, we have a 2020 Infiniti QX50. Man, this was that dealership car that they, I guess, either loaned people or gave people rides in like a shuttle. This thing was just tore up something fierce down the side, man. She was hurting pretty bad. But I think if I remember right, the fender apron was damaged on this too. 2,421 miles. 2,000 miles on this bad boy. We'll blow this picture up so you can see the damage a little bit better. Yeah, I mean, it was just bad. It was just bad. You know, the dealership probably tried to use their own body shop, and if they felt it wasn't worth fixing, yeah, I don't know. Hey, you know what? there's somebody out there that bought this, and they're going to put it back on the road. And you can see there was absolutely a little bit of damage to the fender apron up here. Definitely some damage up here as well. And it's going to cost a little bit of money to fix, but to the right person, you know, you might be able to get this thing back on the road for very little money. It sold for $14,100. Looks like it sold its first go-around. Little 2.04 cylinder. Let's take a look at some of the comparable vehicles. Yep, 14.7, 14.7, 10.8, 55. Wow. That's actually insane. 928 miles and sold for $5,500. Oh, parts. It was parts only. Okay, yeah, the salvage one's $10,000 to $15,000. So this one fits right into that price range. This is one that you guys absolutely loved. Everybody told me I should buy it. And this is part of what I really enjoy about using the service and doing these videos for you guys, because you can tell me if you think this would have been a good deal for me. And I can learn from your comments. I can actually learn from you, right? A lot of times you guys learn from me, but this is an instance where I get to learn from you. So here we go. 2007 Toyota Camry. Ran, drove, engine started. Miles were, what were they? 155,000. Not bad for a Toyota. Now, I am aware that these Camrys had an oil consumption issue similar to that of the Toyota Prius, if I remember correctly. This car was honestly in phenomenal condition inside and out. It was, you really couldn't fault this car. You really couldn't. And I don't think that's clear coat peel on the hood. I think that's actually a reflection of the clouds. Yeah, that's a reflection of the clouds. This car was so nice. It sold for $2,400. So they let it go for that. And when you're talking about fees and everything, though, we're talking about $2,400 plus, I'm going to say, probably $400, maybe $500 or so in fees. So we're probably talking about $3,000 out the door, somewhere around $3,000 out the door. So you could tell me what you think the retail value of this car would be, and if there was really any room for profit. And I don't think buying a Toyota like this is a huge risk. It can be. It can be. I have seen Toyotas that had 10,000 miles on them that had mechanical damage. It does happen. It's rare, but it happens. There's no way to know if this car had a fully functioning transmission, or if there's anything that could have been potentially wrong with it. There's just no way of knowing without buying it. So you do have to consider there is a risk factor buying these cars. You've got to take that into consideration when you are bidding. You should be able to get a decent deal on these for the amount of risk you're taking. And I only say that because I watched Chris Fix literally do a video saying the exact same thing, and I agree with him 100%. Comparable cars, 2350, 2150, 1850, 1700, all clean titles, and this one was 24. So this one was it was a little high. It was a little high, and that's why I stayed away from it. I didn't feel like, for me, this was a good investment. And speaking of ones that you guys really, really loved, here is another one that you really, and I loved this one too. I did. I loved this one. It was in such good condition. It was in such good condition, I'm going to show you guys the pictures in case you missed the video that had this truck in it. Man, even the bed was just, again, you couldn't fault a truck. If I remember correctly, it even had working air conditioning. I think it had working air conditioning. I could be wrong about that. 170,000 miles. Clear coat was peeling on the hood a little bit, but man, Maaco could have shot the hood and the roof and made this truck look perfect. It had, if I remember correctly, Primewell tires. It was just a great looking truck, and it ran so well. Let's see. It was a clean title. I think this was a donation. I'm not 100% sure on that, but let's see here. It sold for $2,350. So you're probably talking about 27, 28. Yeah, I'd say somewhere around $2,800 out the door for this. It did have a 5.7. It was a two-wheel drive. Yeah, I don't know, guys. You know, when you're starting to talk about $3,000 or so out the door, that's getting to a price point where it becomes a little more difficult to sell cars out here. You know, you start getting around $3,000 and suddenly it takes a lot longer to flip some of these vehicles. You got to keep them to sell them fast, typically around 2,500 and under. Generally speaking, you can sell them pretty quickly. But once you start approaching $3,000, it seems like they just take longer to sell. And for me, this one just wasn't worth the risk. Next, we have a 2015 Jeep Wrangler. It was a run and drive. I remember the damage on this one. It's hard to see. Maybe you can see it if I click on the picture here. There it is right there. The door was separated. It was not closing properly. You can see the door is all kinds of tore up right here. So the door definitely. Then you've got damage to the fender right here, which may have extended up into the A-pillar behind it. It's really hard to tell. And then there was damage going up to the windshield. You actually see barely, but the windshield is split and cracked running all down here because there is damage to this pillar right here. There's damage here, and the door was toast. But yeah, there's that, man. But other than that, guys, I actually really love this thing. This Jeep looked nice, and it no, this isn't the one that had the rebuilt motor. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of a different one. Okay, this one was 73,000 miles, and it was just clean. Aside from the damage, you can see it up here, right there, going down here, all the way down to the bottom. Yeah. So anyway, let's see what it sold for. $11,600. It's gone. They let it go the first go around. It says estimated retail value is about 20 grand. So they sold it for 11.6. You know, I don't know what fees are on a price that high. Truthfully, I couldn't tell you on 11.6. I don't know. I've never bought anything that expensive before. But you can come down here and see, you know, 10.7, 10.6, 10.4. Okay. Generally speaking, this thing sold for right about what it looks like they're selling for at auction. Oh, and the 2017 Mini Cooper. Is it called a Mini Cooper? Is it just called a Mini? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, this is the one that I just couldn't get to start, and I had to actually Google how to make these things start with a dead key fob. You had to put it up right next to the steering column. Overall, it looks good. It was a flood title. It didn't have any funky smells on the interior. It definitely ran rough, but not like there was something wrong with it. These things just have a habit of you can feel the engine vibrating in the car. It's just how it is. So 102,000 miles. Overall, the body looked good. Everything on this car looked good. So let's see. It says the estimated retail value is $12,000. It has a 1.5 liter 3-cylinder. And by the way, guys, right here, this 3-cylinder, I was not aware of that until you guys started commenting and letting me know that it was a 3-cylinder. Generally, you are going to feel more vibration, more feedback from the engine on a 3-cylinder motor than you will a 4-cylinder, because even though they do their best to balance 3 cylinders, it's an odd number. It's much easier to properly balance 4 cylinders with an even number of cylinders than it is to balance an odd number of cylinders. So generally on 3-cylinder engines, you're going to feel a little bit of vibration into the cab. It sold for $5,700, so it's gone. And if we scroll down, you know, here we go, 5,000, 5,700, 6,000, and it looks like the average price is around 5,500 bucks. So yet again, this one is well within range. This is one that I really wish I had the money to buy. Honestly, I really liked this car, and I should know better by now because of the M3s that I've looked at out here. I made the mistake of trying to put the car into drive and make it move with the driver's door open, and these cars will not do that. When you try to put them in drive while the door is open, they will slip right back into neutral. So that was my bad. That was totally my fault. I should have known better. You guys called me out on it, and I appreciate it because, again, I will remember